Yeah? Yeah! Hey, hey everybody, welcome to Massive Chalice Teamstream number 11. 11?
11-0.
11. So that's 22 weeks of game development that we have down. It sounds like a long time. At least we have a video game to show you today. That's cool. So yeah, we're going to just jump into this thing. I got a bunch of people here. I got Anthony Vaughn over here, Wheels of Steel. How's this going?
Good. Chat's live. People are stoked.
Working the chat. All right. Over here on Red Couch, I've got Andy Wood, art director, John Burnhelm, lead designer, and then Derek Brand, concept artist. Senior concept artist?
I don't know what I am.
Senior concept artist.
Racing
You're not that old yet.
Yes.
You're not that old yet. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, we're just gonna jump into this thing because yeah, let's just do it. Okay, cool. So I have these artists here so that we can discuss some of the character class base armor design that we've been doing. So hey, how's this going? You want to talk about this process, or you want me to just talk about it?
You could talk and
All right.
I can jump in.
Okay, yeah, you jump in. So we really started with, so we do, you know, looking at the numbers, looking at everything, we're going to go down to 3 core classes for the game. So the Vanguard, we're going to be cutting in favor of the Alchemist, the Arbalist, which we're now calling the Hunter, and then the Caberjack. So those are going to be the 3. The real reason that we're cutting it down is so that we can focus on making the hybrid classes as interesting as possible. So when you have a Caberjack and an Alchemist, their children will be a hybrid class, and then that will be its own thing. So don't look at it as 3 classes, look at it as 3 core classes and 6 hybrids, so there'll be 9 classes in the game. If we were to go up to a 4th one, it actually creates 12 hybrids, and we were just feeling that, is that right? Am I doing the math right?
Yeah.
I always forget these numbers, and then I have to do, and then I have to do the math again in my head, and that would be 16 classes. And while we could do that, we feel that all those classes would be a lot less unique than if we actually just try to like condense it down to these 9.
And the other option was, you know, cutting hybrids altogether, and we didn't like that either. You know?
Right? Yeah. I mean, it really feels like it gets away from the spirit of the timeline and the characters and marriages and children being a really important aspect of the game. So, yeah. So we're gonna go down to 3 classes and focus on the 6 hybrids. I think it's gonna be great. It also opens us up in the future, like if the game is successful, we can add the 4th class and then 6 additional hybrids as a way to expand the game and add a lot more depth to it. So so we started with the Alchemist, and so this was, you know, really just trying to showcase the potions, the actual bottles on his gear. Do you have anything to say about this stuff? So we really like these. Like, we really like these. The bottles we didn't think were super readable in A, B, and C on these.
Yeah.
And then also, while we really like the concept of the shield with the bottles on it that you see in D and E, as you'll see a little bit later, we kind of have this motif of like a really big shoulder pad, like on the Caberjack, and then the Arbalist, the Hunter, also has a little bit of that kind of thing going on. So we just thought it would make them like just a little bit too similar. So we're getting away from the shield of D and E and really trying to focus on like the big heavy bandolier of the ABC. There was also some stuff, if you look at D and E, where like we want this guy to be the lightest armored of the 3 of them, and if you look at D and E, even though it's light armor, it's like cloth, these sort of hanging skirts and things. It really does, like with a wide stance, it makes the dude look a lot more solid, right? It makes the character look a lot more solid, like they're taking up a lot of space, which you kind of like just subconsciously read as like a heavier character, a more heavily armed character. So so yeah, we want to go away from that, and then also try to avoid the Han Soloing of C. He's totally got Han Solo pants on. I know what you did there, Derek. I see it. And then so this is the Caberjack. And this is awesome. Like, I love that there are a lot of what do you call it? Like a lot of the Mongolian stuff. I feel like is really like present here. A lot of you know, trying to stay away from the really like super hardcore medieval Europe, like heavily armored dude with like full plate mail and shit like that. We want this guy to be very much the like heavily armored frontline kind of fighter, without being sort of like a traditional tank. But he should be like more heavily armed. And I think that the stuff that you were going for here, you guys, in the like, you know, thick padded armor with some metal parts on it, really emphasizing that shoulder pad is like super awesome. I love that, Derek, you called out specifically the popped collar.
Popped collar.
In like right here. This, yeah, all caberjacks are dude bros.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really cool, and it's like a really interesting design. It's also the asymmetric one. The B was the one that everybody liked the best, and that came directly out of the thumbnails that you did for the ones, and it's just, it's the coolest one. I don't know. We did, our comments there was just, we wanted to beef it up. Felt like he was a little bit under armored, you know, not beefy enough to really be like we just, on first glance, we want players to like look at him and be like, yeah, he's the heavily armored guy. That's what he is.
Yeah.
Well, we should explain to everybody that these are the base.
Yes.
These are the base designs.
Absolutely.
So this is what you would see right out the gate.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
level 1 human armor.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're planning
throughout the game.
two levels of upgraded, sort of linear upgrades for the armor of each class. So you have level 2 caberjack armor, level 3 caberjack armor that will just be like bigger and beefier and just like, yeah, looking more badass. And then one set of demon armor per class that come directly from the enemies and give you like some really weird trade-offs. And right now, I think we're thinking for the caberjack, it'll be that the shell armor, so that if you take damage, it will sort of like form a thicker shell for the rest of the turn and reduce all the damage that you take for the rest of that turn, and then it will like sort of slough off. It's kind of like taking demon abilities and applying them to the demon armor, so that you feel like you're kind of Mega Manning up their some of their stuff.
I even have a shell in there. Did you see the little mini Ninja Turtle backpack?
No, wait, where? That one in C.
In C, yeah.
Look at this guy.
Bunga.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Hey guys, one thing a lot of people in the thread are asking about, they're wondering why we're choosing this stance and this perspective.
This is the base idle that we have from the game camera.
Right.
And what we were finding is that the concept that we'd done that was all on the front views and wasn't really easy to translate into getting it into the game and having it work with the camera and the viewpoint that we have as you're playing the game. So we went straight to that and tried to work on, if you notice, all of this work is really around the silhouette and about the volume of the figure, like Brad was talking about with the skirts and stuff. So this is in-game screenshots with and that's the pose, that's the kind of impact you see in the game.
That's really cool. So like right from the get-go, you guys are thinking about, even if you're concepting this out, like how is this going to look from that game as soon as possible?
Making sure it reads there. Yeah.
And even though each character is not going to have like the same stance, I think it's really cool that you guys chose to like do each of the characters in the same exact pose so that we can line them up, and they all have the same house colors. So the red that you see on these, that represents the house color. That would change depending on like what your house colors are, what your primary house color is. And we've talked about also working in the secondary house color as for accents or some, you know, small things. But yeah, it's really cool. Like you're just trying to like remove as many variables as possible so that you can compare them on an open playing field. Then when they have different colors from their houses, different stances for the way that they hold their weapons and stuff, they'll just like stand out a lot more as we do that. So the third one is the Hunter, is what we're calling him. And we really liked, I mean, this one, everybody liked B. It was really obvious, like, you know, it has the, you know, A has a little bit of a, like, futuristic vibe to it or something. C was, like, a little too asymmetric, same thing with D. And then E doesn't really have enough of the actual, like, frilly ghillie suit stuff on it. So really the sort of, like, symmetric ghillie suit with the slightly asymmetric shoulder pads of B was, like, I don't know. That was, like, everybody's favorite, and we're like, yeah, it's sweet. Awesome.
He's got a bit more swagger.
Yeah, that one felt like a slam dunk too when we were looking at it. So, so this was the initial sort of like grouping that you put together, Derek. And one thing that I really liked as well, like, do you want to talk about this at all? Where it's like we have kind of the under armor, like the clothing that's under the armor, your under armor. Is primarily where the house color shows through, and then all of the armor on top of that is like a neutral color, but it's a different sort of set of neutrals for the different classes, so that hopefully that will just like make them stand out even more. And then when you have two guys, like when you have this hunter and an alchemist, and they do happen to have the same house color, they'll be even more differentiated, because if you look at it here, the alchemist is like a lot darker, and the hunter's a lot like lighter and browner, and it just kind of like helps them stand apart even more.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to push them apart, but also keep them unified, I guess. And also with the shape at the bottom.
So, do you want to talk about that? Because that shit confuses me. That's the kind of
I mean, it's a subtle thing. It's sort of trying to find a theme within the armor that maybe doesn't really hit you over the head, I guess, but hopefully
it's like a guidance thing.
Yeah, hopefully it just sort of
gelling the character a little bit.
Yeah.
It did a lot of that at the beginning, right?
Yeah, with all those silhouettes, the lineups,
Yep.
trying to find that and just trying to carry it through to the more final stuff.
Sweet. So from here, Andy, you took this and did scribbles. So this was like just a kind of like taking our feedback and formalizing it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Into just like this one image, and just I don't know, like having some call outs for like how we want to change these characters, and really like trying to march towards something that's actually like going to be the baseline for these characters going forward.
Right.
So you can see, like, especially on the caberjack, if you look on the right, you can see the shoulder pad getting a lot bigger, and then you can see the big greave that's being added to make him like really beef him up. On the alchemist in the middle, really wanted to have like really emphasize the bandolier, make the potions bigger, and then also if you see this 1 2 3 1 2 3 stuff, the idea here, this was not my idea, but it's awesome, is that as the armor grows and gets upgraded, you get like multiple bandoliers that sort of like grow downwards. So the one on the upper left shoulder will grow down his arm, but then on his throwing arm, on his right arm, it will actually grow up his arm, and he'll just kind of get like significantly more armored and have more bottles and stuff there.
Yeah.
And then on the hunter, it was really just like just need a little bit more asymmetry, because the giant RPG bow, it sits on his one shoulder, and that's kind of like an asymmetric thing, so it was just trying to lean into that a little bit more. But yeah, we were mostly happy with that guy anyway. And then so these are the sheets that you did after that, right, Derek, where it was like trying to keep that in mind and trying to like really explore the like so here for the alchemist, like that more potent bandolier, making that like the most
potent potions. Yeah.
Potent potions.
Yeah, just trying to make those readable. I think that was the biggest feedback, is couldn't really tell what the hell those things were, what they were,
Yep.
And trying to get that from the original thumbnails, the bulbous things on his shoulder.
Yep. And I like this over here, where you've got like trying to get a more kind of stylized potion shape. So it's more of a diamond, or more of like, what would you call this?
Little
Kind
grenades,
of like a
I guess,
geometric
almost.
tetrahedron.
Well, it's
That
it's also about trying to get something that's a more readable shape.
Right,
So
as
that it
opposed to
doesn't
just like
become a massive thing.
weird balls.
If you can make out the individual ones, then I think it'll read a lot easier.
Yeah, and that's super cool, and it really fits the faceted look of everything,
Right.
and that's like, it leans into that, which is great. Also, the Han Solo pants are gone, which is fantastic.
They're the same pants, they're just darker.
It's really that one strap around it,
yeah.
which screams Han Solo to me. But yeah, that was like totally going in a much better direction with this dude. And then here's the revision of the caberjack, and with this one, like we really, they're kind of similar, the three of these, but I really liked B the most out of all of these. Really, the one on the bottom right, C, the shoulder pad is feeling a little bit like robotic, a little bit too square. Like I like the swoopiness of this thing.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen C in Knights of the Old Republic or something. Like he's a Sith.
And then for the greaves, like having some of the buckles and stuff on it of B, I think is really cool, and this big padded glove and stuff. This takes it like a little bit away from like this one in A, really just feels like that, you know, kind of standard medieval Greavy Greaves, Greavy McGreeverson, that you would see in like a dude with full plate mail and stuff. So having some of those buckles and leather straps and stuff, like, hopefully takes it away from that while still like feeling beefier. And then here is kind of like the final lineup that we have right now. And yeah, hopefully this has everything that we want in it, because this is what we're going to use to like model these guys. And I'm really happy with where these are right now, and I think that we can put these into production, and then we'll do additional concepts in the future for the level 2 and level 3 armor sets. But it's probably best to wait until we see these in the game, make sure that they're like getting their job done.
And then we'll be able to just paint right over those. Once we're happy with them, then we'll have something to paint over and build up.
Yeah.
And get some female versions too.
Yep.
And some
I have
hybrid
not
stuff.
seen those. Where do those live?
Oh no, they don't exist.
They don't exist. You mean we will
But
do
we
that in
will,
the future?
yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, and that will be great, because we have time set aside to go through and adjust the armor, so that we will have like female versions that are, you know, at least scaled and adjusted versions, so we're not just like taking the one set of armor, one size fits all, and kind of like slapping on it. And then we're also not going to do any like, you know, chainmail bikini versions of these, and like, you know, a lot of the bullshit that you see in fantasy games. Like, we're not really not going to be doing any of that when we move over to do the female versions. But yeah, that's where we are with the classes and the visuals. Do you guys want to add anything else? Before that, we'll take some questions about it if people have them.
I think we covered pretty much everything.
Sweet, yeah.
So I just asked you guys for
one more thing is that we are totally drinking. So Andy brewed this beer. This is
It's delicious.
It's based on a Scottish wee heavy, which I didn't even know was a thing. Apparently, a wee heavy is a type of beer that's like
Trackware House. If anybody's into Scottish beer who's listening, it's pretty famous.
It's super good. It's super good. So this is the massive wee. Oh, can you? So this is Massive Chalice, Massive Wee by Andy Wood. And so you made a bunch of this, and so this is gonna be our official Teamstream beer.
We have a
moving
case.
forward. We have a case of it.
Yeah, just less than a case.
And it'll actually get a little bit better while it's like hanging out.
I've never done a beer that ages.
That's awesome. So we're gonna be able to hit this every week for the next
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
Or every month.
Which is sweet. Or every month.
Or every 2 weeks.
Yeah, every 2 weeks. Let's do it every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that would work.
Nice. All right.
So we got one question. A lot of people are actually kind of talking about how this might relate to the hybrid classes. And Solar Blitz, our old friend, asks, how will the hybrid class art differ from their base classes? Have we thought about that yet? Will they have like a little callbacks to their parents' jobs and armor?
Yeah.
How do we?
So the leading idea is that we'll do something on the shoulder. What were we thinking right now?
Well, we're leaving room, right, with the other arm and leg and whatnot for hybrid stuff to live. So I think we should probably point that out. That these base classes are fairly light, so that there's room to grow when we get in the bigger pieces of armor, and then there's room for hybrid stuff to show up.
Yep.
That was the idea, right?
Yep. Yeah, and we'll do some exploration of that as we start like getting those online and stuff in the game. But yeah, I mean, I think it's important that your like Hunter Caberjack has some signifier as opposed to your Hunter Alchemist, and you're like, oh cool, you can actually like see it and, you know, tell the difference between them from the top down view.
Lot more
peek over here.
Yeah, sorry
What's
for the
happening?
silence. No, they're talking about the beer. They want to know why did you go with Wee Heavy? What made you think of that?
Gus, I wanted to brew something big that we could age and drink all the way through the project. I wanted something that we could just keep the length of the project. So it needed to be big and strong so we could age it.
So, Andy, you're trying to keep us trashed for the entire project.
It's only a 22-ounce bottle. It's going a long way.
How long did it take to go from concept to today's reality?
God, when did I brew this? It's been a while with us. It's big. 2 months? It's probably 2
It's
months
like right
since
before
I
the
brewed
picnic,
it.
I think, right? You were talking about it then.
Probably, yeah. I don't know. It could have been after the picnic. It's been a while. 2 months.
So El Burrito 1 asks, like, have we thought about again for these hybrids and how they, like you said, you leave room for some of these things for the hybridization to happen? Could this affect gameplay results, like accidentally? Like, so for example, the example he gives, like a Caber alchemist could have a shoulder sling with potions and accidentally smash them when he shoulders his Caber. Like, could it be self-damaging stuff as well?
Oh, I mean, we'll probably stay away from like super big drawbacks.
Punishing, yeah.
You know, from like punishing the player for like producing these hybrid classes. They should feel like cool rewards. Like the cool thing is that you're going to start the game with only characters that are the pure classes. So you won't even be introduced to the hybrid classes until you start having babies in your second generation. So they should feel like cool rewards and like different variations on the things. We're still working out exactly how it's going to work, but essentially it's like they'll have a talent tree that is very similar to the base class, but has some unique abilities that have been swapped in.
And then those abilities are influenced by the art. Like when we're creating skills and abilities for the characters, we can get influenced by the art, and then vice versa. The art can be influenced by what we're doing. So that's kind of where that shield for the alchemist came from. We had this idea for the alchemist that may or may not be in the game, but kind of relies on him having a shield. And so that's, you know, an idea we play with. If it's not going to work for the art, it might not work for the game. We might try it for the game. It works great, and then we might have to do some tweaking, or just say, hey, it works without that particular piece. So it's a big back and forth process, and we haven't concepted out the hybrids yet, but we're already designing starting to implement like what kind of skills you're going to have, something that'll influence that. You know, like the Caber Mist, the Caber Jack Alchemist. Looking at giving him the ability to lay mines. Like, he doesn't necessarily throw the grenades that he might have, but he'll have a couple, so he can make a mine. And so, you know, there can be versions of this game where he just kind of pulls it out of his magic pocket, but if he can have them on his off shoulder, have a couple, that will give you a visual indicator of who that is, and also lend to the gameplay. So those are the kind of discussions we'll be having with these guys in the future.
Cool, and there's a couple more that came in. Watson's 27 asks, our tuning fork's gone. We moved away from that. Like, you know, are we going to stay moving away from that? Or? So
the Vanguard, we're just kind of treating him as like the fourth cut class of the game. Mm-hmm. And that if we do, if we release the game, it's super successful, we want to look at it from like an expansion pack kind of perspective, he would be the class that we add, and then we can do all of the hybrids across the board for him. It would actually be the core class of the Vanguard, and then 6, am I doing it right? I feel like I screw up the math every time I have to think about it. It's the worst. 6 hybrids that come out of that, and that could be something that we do after we ship the game and to try to build on it.
We have a lot of ideas for that guy, and we're going to save some special stuff for him when we get to him. But really just looking at the schedule and the scope, and balancing between making these hybrids unique or making them just kind of stat variants on the original guys. Really wanted to make the hybrids feel awesome, and have each hybrid is going to have its own new active ability and passive abilities. So they'll do something that nobody else in the game can do, and that's super cool.
The last question comes from Mind of Clink, which says, can we get the massive Wii as an in-game relic?
We'll probably have a reference to the massive Wii somewhere in the game.
Put some motion blur.
Yeah.
Full screen motion blur.
The Alchemist could throw it.
Yeah.
Have some Wii!
Could be an item that,
Oh, actually, one just came in that's not too big, kind of cool. Watson's 27 asks, the frills that are on the hunter, like the Gilliash type suit.
Yep.
Will they be static, or will they move with the animation? How do you guys handle that?
They'll be simulated clocks.
They'll be simulated. Jeff has already done just a quick test of that with the current technology that we have. That's really comes from like Brutal Legend. It's all like kind of built into the engine. Really simple. They call it like chain simulation, where it's like a simple joint chain, and then it just kind of goes slack and like is affected by gravity.
Same thing that was on the kind of diaper skirt on the Berserker. Right?
Yes.
Brazen.
Yep, that was set up very similarly. So yeah, we'll make sure that like moves around and feels like really dynamic when he's cruising around.
Awesome.
He probably won't interact with it like Batman, but it'll be a really cool secondary motion for his animation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sweet. Any more questions? I think
That was,
we're gonna.
that was the last one, I think.
I think we're gonna let these guys go.
Yay.
Thanks
Did that
for
come out loud?
thanks for brewing the beer and
Yay.
brewing the beer and making the art.
Always see
That's
how
awesome.
it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see how it evolves over the course of like if we only drink it every 2 weeks, like it'll be sweet. It's awesome. All right, cool. We're gonna
Yep.
You ready to go over there, Paul? All right. So hey, we're gonna Skype in Jeff. We're gonna Skype in Jeff Solis. He is at his desk, and we're gonna talk to him a little bit about. Hey, there's an audio commercial here. That's great. Hello, Jeff.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome.
Okay, fantastic.
Hold on one sec.
I just wanted you guys to all buy an Audi. That's
Yeah, look. Well, it's the season of Audi, so maybe you should visit your local Bay Area Audi dealer.
Buy a giant bow for the top of it and really surprise your loved one.
I think that's the
Volkswagen.
yeah.
Volkswagen. They
the
all have
Lexus,
giant
I think
bows.
they
the
all do
Lexus
bows.
giant bow
Yeah.
thing.
The worst commercial is the one where they're like, "Oh, I got a Toyota and I wanted a BMW." It's like, really?
I say that every day.
Okay, sweet. So so is this working? Cool. You know what I just realized with this setup? I can't actually see what he's seeing. Maybe you know what though? I can look on Anthony's machine and we can see it
30 seconds
with a
delay.
30-second
Man.
delay, and it'll
Like-
be great. Okay, so Jeff, you are handling a lot of the tech art and environment building and rigging and animation and all sorts of like stuff like that. So
The handshake between art and technology.
yeah, that's what that is a great way of putting it. And I thought that it would be really cool for the viewers if we went through like how we actually build the levels and put them together. So
Yes.
so we use the tool called we call it the MUE, which is a plugin for Maya that connects to like a database that we have here in house that we wrote. I didn't write it. Nobody in this room wrote it. But smart programmers that we have wrote this database, and it plugs into Maya, and it holds all the level data, and it's essentially set up so that multiple people could work on the same world at the same time. It's the multi-user editor, the MUE. We really should have given that thing a better name back in the day, but that's all right.
It doesn't have a sexy name like a lot of other tools do.
Yeah, it should. I feel like it needs one. But anyway, so if you can pull that thing up.
Oh, you want to see it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm in it now.
Okay, sweet.
You can see my screen. So the way you'd load a world, you see it here. It says the MUE world selection. Whenever we create a new world, it gets appended to this list. You can see the ID on the side here. Maybe it's very small.
Sure.
So I've already loaded this world, and this is our. This is derived from our base tactical map, which contains the corners, which are defined. The placement of the blockers determine the actual size and shape of the map. So if I took all of these guys and I shoved them all close to the center, it'd be a really tiny map.
Okay.
And this is what we use to sort of like define our white box level of the world. And these are our 3 basic sizes. And I can just duplicate these guys and move them around. The grid for this thing is already set up for. It's set up as the same tile sizes that we use for the game, and I'm just sort of placing these guys around where the player starts, and then we'll export this level so you guys can see what it looks like.
Okay, sweet. So the grid is totally 2x2.
Yeah.
And then so you're just kind of building it out, and you can easily duplicate these blockers. So these are like low path blocking blockers that you can see over, and then there's the medium blockers that block your line of sight, and then there's the really tall blockers that block your line of sight and disallow like grenade throwing over the top of them.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna that guy. Oop, moved them all on top of each other. That. Okay. This is all real boring, everybody. Sorry about that.
This is you're making video game art. I feel
Yeah.
like you're in a Full Sail ad right now.
Yeah. Hey Brad, can I tighten up the graphics?
Yeah. Can you? Because that's actually what you're doing right now, right? Is you're tightening up the graphics on level 3.
So now that I've placed a few of these blockers around, I can actually export them, and it's going to synchronize with the server, export them. I have Douglas open, and we can see Douglas is currently churning through all of these objects right now and whatnot. And I have no errors, which is good.
That's fantastic. So Douglas is the tool that monitors your hard drive and then sees when you produce new assets that need to be munged, which is like our gross word for getting stuff ready to be put into the game. So it will monitor your hard drive, and then when you produce new assets, it will munge them, get them ready for the game, and then when you run the game the next time, it will use those assets.
Yep. And so here we are, the objects that I placed in the world. These guys are in here. We can move it around just like a regular tactical game. There's some enemies in here, and this is just the basis for all of our worlds, and that's how we do it. So that's just the first part. This is what John would typically be using to sort of lay out the levels, and then we test them inside of this space. And once that's done, we can move on to the actual arting of it part. What were you going to say, Brad?
That I don't know.
Oh, did you want to see that again?
How our gray box levels really are just, I mean,
they're literally gray box levels. Especially, I mean, doing a turn-based game on a 2x2 grid is like, yeah, it's never been boxier.
Time to crate, 0.1 seconds.
Immediately, yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, from this, so hopefully we will be able to actually test these levels now before we put them into the art pipeline. Make sure that we're like, yeah, like all the distances are right, the sight lines are really good, like, you know, we'll be manipulating like, oh, this should probably be a low blocker here so that you could actually see over it, or like, oh no, we really need to impede your line of sight over here, so we'll put more medium and high blockers. And that's really like it. We'll just play a lot there. But then from here, this is the tool that is new to Massive Chalice, which is, what do we call this thing? The tile randomizer?
Yeah, we don't have a sexy name for this.
You know, we were
either.
talking about calling it Hephaestus's codpiece.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd throw that out there. I like it. I like it. But
it's a mouthful, but it's good.
Yeah, it is a mouthful, isn't it? So do you want to walk us through this tool, Jeff?
So basically, what this is going to do, if we look at this in the shaded, the non-material view, all of these blue objects are the things that I have checked out right now. And the way the tile randomizer works is it basically looks at your entire scene, takes anything that you have checked out, and then replaces it with art assets that we've put into like a specific naming convention. So here we're going to switch this guy to the forest, and it's going to look at all of these guys and go through and then replace them with their appropriate objects. And now we can export this level, and if all went well, it'll show up in engine.
Does Douglas
Let's check it
talk
out.
like Jarvis does in Iron Man, or is that not a feature?
We do have another tool called Jeeves that has a super fantastic.
And obviously, I have some things that are sitting on top of each other.
Butler, yeah.
So we're still working out some bugs with this, of course, but yeah, here you go. It has replaced these objects. Let's do it one more time with the forest tile set, and let's let it sit for the desert tile set. Let's let it sit for a second.
Okay, sweet.
There we go.
And so this is really so that we can crank out a lot of maps, because we did kind of punt on the idea of doing fully randomized levels.
Yeah. So this is so the levels can be sort of randomized by us.
Yep.
Sort of. They're partially randomized maps, but that's okay. All right.
But after a while, like if you have just too much randomization, I mean, you can't. I feel like we want that kind of controlled randomization, right? Because if it's always something completely random every time, you know, you might have liked a piece of that, now it's all gone, and I don't know. I feel like that can help guide levels a little bit better, right, Jeff?
Yeah. Well, and it's like part of it is like the tactical space is very important, like gameplay wise, like not just how the abilities work, but also how the layout is created, and coming up with rules where you're solving all of the tiny weird edge cases where this guy is invincible if he's standing next to a rock and a tree in this specific way, and how nobody can kill him, and that's, you know, because that was born of some sort of random thing, and we can control that a little bit more where we just make sure those situations aren't set up and whatnot. So yeah, now it's the desert tile set. So we can take this layout, convert it into any of the tile sets that we've created. And yeah, that's pretty much how it works for the rest of them. I would convert this to the mangrove one, but there's ghosts in my computer that don't allow that to happen right now. So.
Damn ghosts.
Well, that's sweet. Yeah, I mean, we just want this to be able to like just iterate as rapidly as we can on the look of the level. You know, be able to take it from Graybox and then immediately replace it with like actually real assets, and then that's the baseline that we can use to sort of like put into testing. It's nice that it like we can sort of instantly take it from Graybox, and then and Jeff, can you take it back to Graybox? It's super easy to just like convert it back.
Yeah,
right?
I can, but there's also ghosts that prevent my machine from doing that too.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Damn you, ghosts.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Oh, I'm giving you guys a preview of what's going to happen soon, so I'll close this down.
Spoilers, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Yes, this is cool because it's kind of an intermediate step that helps us get some of our fully textured objects and stuff into the game, but there's still a lot more to be done. But it does give you like a baseline of, okay, is this even going to work when it has some stuff in there? And I think we'll stumble upon some interesting positioning too, because it kind of like randomly rotates and scales slightly the objects, so might get some cool things in there that don't need to be changed a whole lot, which is awesome.
It's good for a baseline, and it's also good so John can design the levels and we can sort of hand it back and forth without having a lot of major art changes. If we did a lot of this stuff like huge and custom pieces, that means anytime John wanted to shift around parts of the level, we'd have to go back in and models and whatnot. So it's a really great working level tool. And obviously, once we get closer to shipping and we start putting a lot more heavy art assets into the game, it's a little harder to move around the play space. But this is a great way for us to work together to pump out a lot of levels without having to do a lot of like rework on the art side or the design side. Both. It's awesome.
Sweet. Jeff, question from the chat. Smiles asks, when will Jeff show off some sweet IRL cabering?
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually building a caber right now.
Of course you are, Jeff.
So we'll see. Hopefully we'll get some good stuff after the break.
Amazing.
We should go door to door before Christmas and go Christmas cabering.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also called a B&E, a breaking and entering.
Somebody, let's see, Dirty Feet 33 asks, what is the art in the middle box? I think he's referring to the exporter.
Oh, this. Okay, so if anybody wants to go into Google and look original Brutal Legend video, you'll get this shot of this guy running up a hill and then chopping this tree, but that tree is actually made of car tires. And so he's building a car by chopping down parts of the trees. And that's what that art is from. This is like, my God, 7 years ago now or something.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's actually a really cool, it was the previs video that we made to kind of like announce the game, but like it was really early. And, and the final game ended up looking nothing like that. But it's super rad to see. And there's some really awesome, what do we use? I want to say, the music's really awesome for it. And now I can't remember. Whoa, look at that. Totally zoomed right in on that thing. That's amazing. Yeah, the music's fantastic. It's just like a minute and a half, and it rules, and you should watch it. It's super cool.
Yeah, do some internet exploration. It's an interesting thing. It's pretty old too, so I wonder how well it stands up now. But yeah, cool stuff.
Sweet. Do you understand that question? What is the middle blocker on the map?
All of this stuff here.
I think it's
so basically, when I created this map originally, these three objects are just the three representative objects for our world. So if we go back to the original default set, which I can do manually, not with the thing, which is stupid. Whatever. This is what they look like when they come in. So this is sort of a representative object for anything that could possibly fit into this space, and also has gameplay functionality. So this is a path blocking object that only blocks the path, but it doesn't block sight or like the ability to shoot or throw things over it. And these things have the same thing. This guy can be and thrown over, but not seen past, and you can't shoot through it. And this guy just blocks everything. And they're in here, so whoever opens this level up, when they start building it out, they have a base object to build more things from. So I can just duplicate it inside of Maya, and it'll come here like that, and I can make as many of these as I want, and sort of populate the level with them. And that's how we do it. We don't have to bring them in individually or anything like that. It's just cool and fast, which is the best part.
Sweet. Decoy Octopus X asks, are all the MUI icons in the Maya doc for different Buddha games?
Yeah, they all come from different ones. A lot of them are Brutal because we built a lot of this from Brutal. And then Lloyd, the old programmer who made a lot of this stuff, he did all of the weird little pixel art up here, and that's kind of stuck around. Most of it's actually from Brutal. There's not a lot of it from anything, but that's a cave, little cave icon. Probably don't, I mean, this is all super tiny on your screen, so nobody can see it.
Let's see.
I'm resetting it. There we go. So yeah, most of the icons are all from Brutal.
Let's see. Wolfery asks, if multiple people are working on the same level, how do you avoid stepping on each other's toes?
So if I was in this level and I was working on it with someone else, I would actually see what objects Jeremy had checked out, and they would be a different color. They'd be gray, and they would actually have his.
And that way, then you can't manipulate them, right? They're just sort of like locked.
It'll throw an error, and it'll say someone else has this checked out. And I mean, I can move stuff on top of the things that he's setting in there. There's nothing stopping me from doing that, but that doesn't make any sense either. So, yeah, there's a lot of pretty good safeguards for us to not allow us to sort of step on each other's toes.
Sweet. Okay, Jeff, I think we're gonna let you go.
Yeah, I think there's something goofy with my desktop at this point.
Thanks for running us through that thing though. And could you tell Chad to make his way up here?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna
go up to the front.
This is always a classy professional operation here at Double Fine Productions.
Take a hike, Dawson.
Okay, sweet.
All right, thanks guys.
Yeah, thanks. See you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.